Welcome back to Kinh Doanh 101. I'm your host, Thuy Phan. The government may seem like a place with lots of red tape, but it is in fact a place that helps and supports small businesses. In this segment, we'll talk about government procurement and minority certification and how that can help your business compete in a different arena. International business is a new old frontier that many small businesses have yet to tap into, says Karen Scuncio, who is a consultant with over 25 years of experience in international business, and she says this is a great avenue for those who are looking to expand their reach.
You know, over time there's been different periods since I've been in international business, 25 plus years, that U.S. products have been more in demand or less in demand, and I would say now we're still in a high demand period, but it will depend on regionally for one, and Southeast Asia is really a good market at this time, and then other markets as well as Asia is what the product is will determine what the demand is. But overall, countries overseas and consumers mostly, you know, they trust U.S. made products.
When we talk about international business, it refers to the importing and exporting of goods. This could mean a variety of products made in the United States. According to the U.S. Department of Commerce, the U.S. imports over $1.2 trillion in goods, while American companies exported $772 billion in merchandise to more than 150 foreign countries. Today, Asia is a big market, and especially for those who are Vietnamese business owners, and it is worth looking into.
I think there is opportunity, and especially if we're talking about the Vietnamese community and then they're exporting to Vietnam. Of course, exporting to a country that you have the language skills and you know the culture is a great advantage and a comfort level you're going to have over another American company. American businesses tend to be a little bit hesitant of exporting, so it is an opportunity to be out there and be a good exporter. There is assistance. There are some grants, a limited amount of money, but I help a lot of our companies get what's called the California STEP grant, which can provide up to $3,000 in grant funds to help specific export marketing activities. If you have food goods, and these have to be U.S. made products, there's also other grant cash match programs that are available. And there are EXIM loan guarantees and SBA loan guarantees that will help if you need to get a loan to expand your business. Banks aren't very apt to loan under those conditions, so by them having a loan guarantee, it's more, long as you know your business is a good financial standing, those programs can help you get a loan from the bank because they provide guarantee to the bank.
The SBDC, or Small Business Development Center, offers one-on-one help for those looking to try international business.
I'm the international consultant at the SBDC, so I meet with all the clients that want to import or export. And basically we sit down on a one-on-one, and then at least one time face-to-face is usually helpful, and then a lot of times I'm helping clients over the phone. But we're going to look at what their product is or what their plan is and kind of work through creating a export plan, and then I can assess and see what their knowledge base is so I can guide them on what the best next steps are. And then of course we have the rest of our team here who can help. You know, we always co-counsel. So we have our finance and accounting consulting, marketing consultants, basic startup, and we'll work together. As long as the company is moving forward on an action plan, we continue to support them.
Going to trade events or workshops such as the OC Manufacturers Roundtable and International Connection Workshop help open up doors and remove barriers for the next step.
Asia is a big market. It's quite heterogeneous. I mean, it's quite hard sometimes for small companies or small manufacturers to do all these markets all together. So I think it would always be important to identify good partners in the regions. Be a good distributors or promoter to facilitate a lot of selling and actually access actually to the markets. I think Hong Kong has always been a good choice for many of our manufacturers here because it's actually a very, environmentally friendly cities. Also, very friendly for businesses as well. We have a very low tax regime. It's actually a city where we speak English and Chinese officially. We actually have our, independent rule of law. I think with all our expertise and experiences doing business internationally, this actually gives us sort of like assurance and sort of like an easy kind of like springboard for U.S. manufacturers to start, developing their business in Asia.
Chris Lowe, the director of the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, says Hong Kong and Southeast Asia are great markets to tap into.
I think at this stage, general consumers in Asia are looking for various kind of quality products, brand products. So it could be all kinds of consumer, merchandise goods, from toys or, kind of like electrical, electronics gadgets, to food, beverages. Definitely wine is more and more important, products as well. I think healthcare related products would be of an interest. So that would include, all kinds of supplement, cosmetic, nutrients, etc., etc. So these, at least to what we have understand, have been actually a strong focus in terms of, product categories to be imported or to be consumed in Asia.
Lowe says the council is a resource for those looking to export goods.
Hong Kong is a city with a population of around 7.3 million of people, but don't look at Hong Kong just as a city. As I mentioned, that Hong Kong is a market of many markets. In fact, it's actually a perfect gateway to access to Asia's population. I mentioned in my discussion earlier that basically Asia Pacific is going to be the region with the most middle class consumers in the world, accounting for around 65% of them. So imagine, important kind of like trading businesses that are going to taking place or have been taking place in Asia. I think that's part of the reason why Californian traders and exporters should really look into the potential in terms of the market in Asia.
Scuncio does warn that if something looks too good to be true, it probably is.
I think if you get into exporting, just remember there's no lotto. So a lot of people will, start putting their product out there, and all at once they'll see like somebody wants to order like $1 million worth of product. That's going to be fraud. So just remember there's a lot of fraud out there, and if something sounds a little bit too good to be true, have your be cautious, because as we know here, there's all sorts of scams, and so that is also on the internet for exporting products, so just be cautious of that.
Products that have done well include skincare, food items, and other health and beauty-related products.
Well, there's different types of companies. Some are manufacturers, so it's their own product and they're manufacturing, and I've known companies that do vitamin supplements, skincare products, other health type products, and they've been successful in selling in Vietnam. And then there's other type of companies that they're more like an export management company or an export sales company. So they have, because they have the language and they have good connections within Vietnam, they will represent U.S. manufacturers of various goods, and usually that works well if it's complementary goods, so that you're working on, one or two market channels. So those are two examples that people can be very successful, and I've seen companies growing, like shipping container loads of a variety of food stuff, just general commodity goods over there.
Scuncio says doing your homework also helps.
Initially, you're going to do some basic market research that's going to show where your product might have demand. And then you're going to look at, you're going to look at what type of regulations for import to see if it's costly or whatnot. But if it's another country with different languages, which unfortunately I'm American that just speaks English, but I've done business all around the world, and long as you still will do some translations into materials maybe on your website, but a lot of times you're going to be working with a distributor overseas, and that's why you're utilizing a distributor, because they're the ones that knows the local market and are going to get it into distribution there. So it's definitely, long as you're willing to support that country's language and what's needed in your product, you can enter almost any market.
There are rules and regulations to exporting, but it depends on each country that you export into.
Vietnam is a great market, so is Thailand, Indonesia. I mean, a lot of those markets have they're having a lot more disposable income. But again, what I would emphasize is a lot of this does depend upon the product that you're selling. So it's good to have good data. We can pull up your product classification and look up trade statistics to see where that product is mostly going. And that can be part of a gauge and finding out if your product is going to be successful or what countries are looking for those type of products.
Having an online presence will also help you do better.
It's really planning first. You think of any business, to be successful in a business, you have to create a plan. And if you just do the same thing on exporting or importing and just follow the same type of steps with guidance, you can be very successful. But just to do something, I've helped a lot of clients, you know, all at once they have an order. Here, help me, I need to know how to do a commercial invoice. Of course, I'm going to help them. But quoting, you know, is different internationally. Pricing is slightly different internationally. And so to create structure and all of that ahead of time will greatly reduce mistakes.
One type of exporting that Scuncio warns against is national brand exporting because the competition is fierce. Export.gov is a great resource to get started.
Any business you get into, there's some risk, right? So, and the best way to minimize the risk is just to do your homework in advance. And I think, you know, that's what's wonderful about the SBDC, and there's other resources, is really utilize the resources out there so that you can be educated and reduce the risk. Of course, exporting and receiving money from overseas and really finding credible distributors or customers, you have to do your due diligence, and that's, you know, what we also assist and help businesses learn how to do that properly. So you can definitely minimize your risk, and I think you know, being in an international business for a lot of years, you know, you have to enjoy and want to do that kind of business, but you can be very successful and minimize your risk. Far as cost, this is really going to depend on what type of product you're selling, because some products may require regulatory on the import side, or labels have to be changed. So there can be costs associated, and that's going to be different, like if it's electrical goods and you have to change the voltage. So that will depend, like per product, what kind of financial investment you need. And then of course you want to trademark your product if it's a product that can be duplicated, so in the foreign countries. And a lot of people don't realize that you would want to trademark in the foreign countries as well.
Coming up after the break, we'll talk to the man behind the sauce, David Tran, who started Sriracha when he immigrated to America. Stay with us.